Welcome back to the latest episode of Social Media Circuit. This is our very special Podcamp Western Mass episode. So I'm very excited about talking about Podcamp, which is going to be happening on February 25th, actually a Saturday from 9 to 4 at Holyoke Community College. So today, my two guests are here to talk about two different ends of the Podcamp experience. One, Ron Thompson is a veteran, a two-time Podcamp Western Mass veteran, who's here to talk a little bit about his impressions about the event and what he got out of it. And I also have Mike Thompson, and yes, there is a relation, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Father-son.
Father and son team here. Now, Mike is a new podcamper. He's going to be new this year. However, is definitely very much in the social media realm. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Ron and Mike do in their world, in their lives and professions, and then what some of their impressions are of Podcamp. So let's start with the elder, Thompson. Tell us a little bit about what you do in your work and how social media affects it.
Sure. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Winstanley Partners, which you know a little bit about.
I do.
Being our Director of PR and Social Media. And as such, social media over the last 2 or 3 years has been pushed into my world very rapidly, actually. Most of our clients these days want us to work on their interactive campaigns, which in most cases include social media. And probably in the last 2 or 3 years, it's gone from about 25% of our work interactive to more like 75%. You really can't do a marketing communications campaign for people right now without concerning yourself with their website or their applications or anything digital. And of course, the crossover with social has been amazing. So we're both a sponsor of the event and participants, and I've had a great time the last 2 years. I found it amazingly engaging and just so low-key. It didn't really, it was scary at first, not knowing what I was walking into, but I met a lot of wonderful people. I came away with a lot of great information that helped me both in my job, but also in keeping up with my son and my daughter and those young people in my life who know a lot more about social than I do.
Awesome.
So that's the connection.
Cool. And I think, mentioning the fear component is important because that's a lot that it keeps people away. I mean, Podcamp itself, let's face it, it's a funny word. It's what we have to work with. The original Podcamp actually started in Boston in 2005. And now it's a global phenomenon, but we're right down the street from Boston, and we've been doing this for 4 years now in the Western Mass region. So it's a lot of fun. It is very low-key, I think. It's very welcoming to anyone, whether you're an advanced social media user or a new user. And these days, every business owner, I think, needs to have their finger on social to some extent. So it's a great place to not only learn a little bit about social, but also to network. So let's move over to Mike. Now tell us a little bit about what you do as far as social and your work.
Well, the main work that we do is anything that has to do with multimedia, presentations of audio, video, and now a major portion of it is social media marketing. We have a place, and I say we because there's 3 of us that run a business called The Workshop. And we have different staples on each end of it. I'm the studio manager and head of technical operations. We also have a producer in-house who is Grammy nominated this year.
Awesome.
And we also have a head of social media marketing.
Awesome.
We realized that after we got out of school and are getting out of school that it's very hard to break into different social circles, especially ones that are already established. So we decided, screw it, let's make our own. So what our whole point is we try to have the inner circle. And through social media, we try to find as many people who are willing to work with us and help us as we can help them and create our own inner circle.
Awesome. Collaboration.
Yep.
Collaboration is the new competition.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And all 3 of you are still students, right? You're all still your seniors at the...
2 of us are still students, and we're about to get out in a few months.
And you
so watch out.
Look out.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, right?
Yep. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Now, Mike and I were talking a little bit about a project that he worked on recently with his company before we started filming that has something very cool to do with Twitter. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, it's more based off of the school, but we had a pretty cool part in it. Basically, it's an application that we built that interacts with Twitter via audio. So it's a program that reads hashtags based off of certain parameters that we set and plays a sound every time that hashtag comes down on Twitter. So if we assign it to Podcamp, every time somebody hashtags Podcamp, a lightning bolt sound will happen. And then every time somebody says social media on a hashtag, rain will keep going. And the more hashtags that happen, the more sounds that happen.
A Twitter storm.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
a
it.
Symphony.
Can you imagine what that would sound like at Podcamp Western Mass? We wouldn't be able to hear the presentations, I think. That would be so cool, though. We're not really sure. This is all hypothetical, by the way. We're not sure if we do have a Podcamp sound or if we could even do that, or what the sound would be. But if anyone has any ideas for sound, then definitely get in touch with us and let us know. Now, you've never been to Podcamp before.
No, I
haven't.
haven't.
Have you been to a Podcamp before?
Never.
So what are you expecting, hoping, fearing?
Well, I'm certainly hoping to network as much as I possibly can and really meet some people who, again, can help grow that inner circle that I was talking about.
Yep.
I also am really excited to learn about what other people are doing in the social media market and how they're addressing certain issues, such as outreach and things like that. Inbound marketing too is another thing that we're very much about and trying to learn more about.
Mm-hmm. The amazing thing too is that the sessions, you certainly learn in the sessions. I learned as much just sitting around the table talking to other people and engaging with them as I learned in the sessions.
Yep.
Because my past, I worked in television in video production, so I've always liked the buttons and lights and anything technology.
Right.
And this group is very technology driven, and people are pulling out all sorts of devices. I remember engaging with a guy who had a tablet I hadn't seen before, and before I know it, I was learning all sorts of neat things about video and uploading and managing your video presence. And yeah, you'll learn a lot just from the people in the event, never mind the session.
Right. One thing we say is lunch is one of the most important parts of the day, not just because we're eating, but because it ends up being probably the best networking time of the whole day.
Absolutely.
As I was saying again earlier before we started filming today, there were some people who met for the first time and started talking over lunch, and by afternoon they were leading a session together at Podcamp. So that's kind of a good example of how things can come about informally or all of a sudden. It's a very grassroots feel. Addition to, we have, in talking to the networking point, we have a job search jam session that's going to be happening in the afternoon. This is something that we tried last year for the first time. And this year we're going to be reprising that. And Steve Sherlock, who is a fantastic social media mind, is going to be leading that. And it's very informal roundtable discussion about how to use social media to find a job. So obviously that's something that's really top of mind for a lot of people these days. In other sessions, we're also going to be offering some kind of Twitter or Facebook 101, if you will, something to get your feet wet, dive in, learn about the latest privacy settings, especially on Facebook. As we know, they're constantly changing. And Twitter's had some changes recently as well. So there'll be some sessions like that, and some sessions for creatives. For instance, this year we're planning a photography as it relates to social media session. So I think that'll be really fun, especially for all the bloggers out there, and there are plenty of us out there. Of course, though, Podcamp is an informal, unconference model, so you can submit a session. You can either submit a session online right now if you plan on attending. Just go to podcamp.westernma.biz, podcamp.westernma.biz, I guess it would be, and submit a session is a tab right on the top of the website there. You can also submit a session that day if you want to do something a little bit more informal. So those are the big bullet points. The big thing I want to say, though, is in addition to the Thompson boys here, we have a third of our registrations already set and ready to go, and Podcamp caps at 150 people this year. Again, we're going to be at Holyoke Community College, right in the heart of Holyoke, at the Kittredge Business Center, which, if you haven't seen it, is a gorgeous space, and they have their own little cafeteria. So if the lunch and the refreshments that we provide you in your $30 very nominal registration fee, you can always go down there and get a granola or a coffee or something else to that effect. And that's something new. That's why I'm mentioning it. So we're very excited to be at HCC this year. And we have sponsorship still available if anyone else is interested in joining our sponsorship team. And otherwise, we'd just love to see you there. And keep an eye out for the buzz about Podcamp on Twitter, Facebook. You can check the hashtag PCWM on Twitter if you want to see the latest news. And you can also find us at Podcamp Western Mass on Facebook. So is there anything else that you guys would like to end with as far as your Podcamp impressions?
Having been there twice now, I would say any business person jump aboard. If you need to know, if you need to learn more about social media to do a better job for your own business or for your clients, absolutely a great place to be. If you use the social networking as part of your new business development efforts, LinkedIn, for instance, I learned a ton last year about LinkedIn, which helped me this year in running my business. So jump aboard, individuals. The networking opportunities are tremendous. There's contacts flying all over the place the whole day. I came away with a lot of great contacts, both people that can help me in my work and also folks that I might be able to help in their work.
Mm-hmm.
So young and old, come aboard. You'll enjoy it. You'll get a lot out of it.
Definitely. Speaking of young and old, I forgot to mention that the student rate is a mere $10 for the same package. So if you're a student, please check it out. And we will see you on February 25th at Podcamp Western Mass 4. And thanks again for joining us on Social Media Circuit. Bye-bye.